Good morning, friends. We're in the woods again this morning. It is the most perfect, bright, early summer morning here in the Derbyshire Dales. I'll just give you a very quick panorama of the beautiful countryside just round the corner from my tiny house. This is my favourite walk. Well, it's turned into my only walk every morning, and if I can, early evening. At the moment, sun doesn't go down till about, well, it gets dusk about 9:30 p.m. now, and I have yet to have my first outdoor barbecue, so I need to put that right. But this morning's little topic, my friends, is the second law of thermodynamics. Now, not the album by Muse from 2006, I believe. Yes, there is a whole pop rock album from British band Muse on the subject. But no, we're going to try and shed some light. I won't say educate, because you and I are in this together. In musing on the second law just now, I'm going to see if you and me both are any wiser at the end of it, because frankly, I find it very difficult to grasp. But if it wasn't for the second law of thermodynamics, there would be no breakfast, lunch and supper. And by that I mean, if I've understood the physicists correctly, which is unlikely, it accounts for time going in one direction only. So coming to the breakfast, you pour the milk in the coffee, and because of the second law of thermodynamics, you can't undo taking the milk out of the coffee, or oat milk, or whatever you have in your coffee. And don't say you have it black. It's just for the argument. So why is that? You can't. I was going to say there's no way you can then separate the milk from the coffee. But in fact, according to the second law of thermodynamics, there is an infinitesimally small probability. Turns out it's all about probability, as in quantum mechanics, that one of the states of your cup of coffee after you've poured the milk in is that it separates, so they'd both be in the same cup, but maybe on one side coffee, the other side milk, or I guess because of mass, at the bottom coffee, at the top milk, which is called a latte, of course, or a flat white. So what is the second law of thermodynamics? Well, if I've understood, no, not if I recall it correctly, it is that a closed system, whatever that is, will always tend towards maximum, and here's the E word, entropy. Now, when I was a 15-year-old O-level physics student, and since then, I've always struggled with the idea of increasing entropy. I'll tell you why, because in almost every other physical attribute, characteristic, if you increase something like heat, it gets hotter. If you increase cold, it gets colder. If you increase distance, it gets further, and so on. But when you increase entropy, you get less of something. It's true. My simple Phil brain, this is it's a tough start because I don't quite get the idea of entropy. Increasing entropy means you get less of it, and the less that you get more of is order in a system, order or structure. So the classic description of increasing entropy is a teenager's bedroom, which gets more and more disordered, with clothes on the floor. And this is possibly the second law of thermodynamics, that in a closed system you will always get increasing entropy, increasing disorder, is the most possibly the most fundamental law of physics, inescapable, and it leads to heat death of the universe, which means that, again, if I've understood it at all, the candle goes out. No, all of the stars, all of the billions of stars and billions of galaxies, ultimately, increasing disorder, they fizzle out, and the cosmos gets cold, lights out. Of course, you and I won't be around to experience that, thank you. Actually, that's another thing. I've just been, sorry for this little divergence, but it seems to be my way. I've just been maudlin through the dark wood, the tall conifers, feeling quite morbid, I suppose. I was thinking to myself, this very day, we're in mid-June now, some Ukrainian mother will wake up to the news that her son's been killed in Ukraine, in Donetsk yesterday, because their counter-offensive, so the media tells us, is on, and some Russian mother, well, hundreds probably, will wake up this morning to the news that their son or daughter is dead, and I get rather understandably somber, and I imagine myself in that situation. We'll have another conversation about war and war memorials and pacifism. I'm not sure I've got the courage to be a pacifist, but I've thought a lot about it. Anyway, back to the plot of entropy. My thought on death, by the way, is that in a way the most comforting thing about death is that you will never experience it. Just think about it if you've not already done so. Why? Well, because you'll be dead. So your anticipation of, or of course, if you're dying from old age or a disease, you may experience the degradation of the human body and mind if you've got Alzheimer's, dementia like my dad did. But you won't actually experience your own death. Unless I'm missing something. Roy Castle, the British multi-talented entertainer, when he announced to the press that he'd got terminal cancer, they asked him what he felt about it. He said, well, about death, he said, well, millions of people have done it and there have been no complaints so far. Well, none of us can escape death or the second law of thermodynamics. And my most recent understanding of it, I have to say, from YouTube videos, I have not fact-checked them, so please don't rely on this, is that it all comes down to probability. According to quantum mechanics, nothing is fixed either in position or movement. You can't pinpoint a particle, if it exists, down to both location and momentum. And so it all comes down to probabilities. The particle has a wave function, which is a sort of catch me if you can, free spirit, dashing about, or playing hide and seek in the quantum flux, which David Bohm calls the implicate order. I'm very taken by that idea, like invisible contours in the cosmos. Anyway, so they play hide and seek until they are not observed, as some people say, because that, to me at any rate, implies a human conscious observer. No, it's not observed, it's measured. Now that measuring device could be an electronic device, but it's a bit like playing hide and seek in the woods, and if a particle is seen, the wave function collapses, and instead of being a will-o'-the-wisp, it becomes a particle in the wood with a fixed location and momentum. And applying this to entropy, there is an equal probability of the milk in the coffee, well, the milk and the coffee, being in a particular state or another. But the probability of them separating into pure milk, pure coffee is so small. It is a possibility, but it is so small that to you and me it will never happen. But this apparently is the state of all particles. Once observed or measured, they're sort of temporarily fixed. They sort of pop out of the indefinite quantum flux, and so you can drink your coffee without it separating, because there's a very low probability of it not continuing in that state. So the physicists tell us, this is another favourite part of my morning walk, look at this. Oh, it's just delightful. So the quantum physicists tell us that because of the laws of probability, everything will tend to wind down to its most disordered state. It'll sort of even things out, and so we get ultimately cold coffee and the heat death of the universe. That's this morning's thought for the day. Catch you later.